Good morning, afternoon, evening everyone, and welcome back to the Genshin Impact character review series, where we take each character and take a look at them and see how they fare in the game and give my opinions on the characters. Today's subject is Kaeya, a cryo sword character that you are given, that should be the third character you are given when you start the game. Kaeya is, in my opinion, a pretty good character. We'll of course talk a lot about him in the video, but in general most people just ignore him. I mean, lately cryo has been quite important in things like the Spiral Abyss, but still, because of the starter party syndrome that plagues people, Kaeya is like ignored because of that. And because of also, he's a starter character, and getting constellations for him is just extremely hard. He doesn't appear on banners. We'll talk a little bit about that, about how starters aren't in banners close to the end of the video. So let's begin, right? Let's go into it, and let's start off with Kaeya's auto attacks, which is the first character that has a special type of auto attack. His normal chain up until his 4th hit is normal, and then his 5th hit is this Omaiwa mo Shinderu teleports behind you hit, where, well, he just teleports behind an enemy and then hits them and then throws them forwards? Yeah, like forwards I think is the right direction to say. This attack is fine. It can be a bit problematic, because when you are attacking a single enemy, or even when you're attacking lots of enemies, you want to push them towards a direction where there's more enemies so that your AoE skills hit more, or there's some sort of hazard like a cliff or something, and you want to throw them over the cliff. But with Kaeya, if you reach that last hit, you're gonna throw them behind you, you're gonna throw them towards the opposite direction where you want them to go. So it is a bit of a problematic attack, I have to say, but usually you might actually never reach that point, because most people, in order to maximize DPS, they never ever reach that last hit with any character. What you do is you dash cancel your auto attacks, because it's kind of faster to reset your auto attack cycle that way. But still, cool attack. Again, cool sort of like meme you can have with the teleporting thing, but that's fine. Let's move on to Kaeya's skill, which is Frost Snow, which is this cone of cryo that he shoots from his sword. It's a pretty good skill, I must say. Pretty good AoE, like it's quite big, and it's got a really low cooldown, around 6 seconds, and until the animation finishes, that's like 5 seconds, and it's pretty good. This low cooldown is really nice, and you can apply cryo like a lot of times with it. Again, the AoE is pretty big, and it's just really useful. You do get a bit of self-sustainability with the first talent, which makes it so that Kaeya heals based on the enemy's hit by this ability, by like 18% of his attack. It's good, it's something, but even in late game, it's just not that significant. Doing some calculations, let's say that Kaeya has around 1900 attack. He gets around like 300 HP per enemy hit. So if you hit around 3 or 4 enemies, that's cool, you get 1000 HP. But it's not that significant compared to what a more healer focused character can do. It's nice, again, but not the best. You also get a bit of energy recharge through the second talent, which is also tied to this ability, which is cool. Kaeya also has his Ascension stat is energy recharge, which is a bit strange. I would have given him attack or cryo damage, but hey, it is what it is. So yeah, more energy, that's cool. Moving on to his burst, and this is the real good thing This is like the top thing that Kaeya has, in my opinion. So the burst, what it does is that it creates these icicles around your active character that spin around, deal damage, and apply cryo. It's really, they are really good. These these icicles last for around 8 seconds, which is really good, and they apply cryo constantly, especially with if you're using another melee character or Kaeya himself. You're gonna stick to opponents, and these icicles will hit opponents. And it's nice that they are in such a tight circle so that it's really constant cryo application, and it can work both as a way to melt with the ultimate. So you apply pyro with another character, and then the icicles melt, so Kaeya deals the melt damage. Or you use the icicles to apply cryo first, and then your pyro DPS most likely does his pyro attacks and melts for themselves. Again, really good ability, I must say. 60 energy cost, and with Kaeya's energy recharge stat and the second talent, which we mentioned, you can have this thing up. This thing's uptime is not necessarily 100%, but you will have these icicles out like almost always. I want to mention something here. Normally, I would not talk about constellations, but there is one constellation that when I looked at Kaeya, I sort of misread and I thought it was completely busted. That is his second constellation, which makes it so whenever you kill an enemy with the ultimate, it extends its duration by 2.5 seconds up to a maximum of 15 seconds of duration, which is also the ultimate's cooldown. At first, when I first read the skill, the constellation, I thought it said whenever the ultimate hits an enemy. So yeah, I mean, that would have been completely busted. You know, whenever this thing hits an enemy, it just extends its duration, then, you know, it's a free 15 seconds of ultimate. You know, that would have been too broken. But still, if you build Kaeya to deal a lot of damage, you know, either a main DPS that deals cryo damage, or even a support where you give him a lot of burst damage through artifact sets and, you know, good artifacts, it is quite possible that you can use this constellation to its max potential. Not against bosses necessarily, but still. But yeah, like, you know, I'm only mentioning this because I did misread it. Okay, I misread it, else I wouldn't mention this constellation, and we will talk about again Kaeya's constellations at the end of the video, because he is a bit of a special occasion. But yeah, pretty good kit. Really nice. The low cooldown skill is amazing. The ultimate is really good at applying cryo and dealing damage. Like, it has okay stats, okay damage values, pretty good. Just that. So what can Kaeya do then with these abilities? Well, he can fulfill a lot of roles, basically every role actually. He can be a main DPS that deals cryo damage through his E and Q, and perhaps his hit if paired with someone like Chongyun. Can be a really good combo to generate energy for one another, and also to keep that cryo damage up if your Kaeya is built as a cryo damage main DPS or sub DPS. He can also be a physical DPS, and he can also be an elemental support. So which artifacts can you use actually for each role? Well, for the physical DPS, let's get that out of the way. Well, the two sets that exist is of course the Bloodstained and the Pale Flame set. Now, you can use a 2-piece Pale Flame, 2-piece Bloodstained for for a 50% physical damage bonus constantly, but you can't use the Pale Flame set, a 4-piece Pale Flame set. The way the Pale Flame set works is that whenever you activate your elemental skill, you gain a stack. At 2 stacks, you gain 50% physical damage bonus and like 14% attack, which is, you know, a bit of an extra bonus compared to the 2-piece Pale Flame and 2-piece Bloodstain set. But the thing is that these stacks have a duration of 7 seconds, and Kaeya's skill has a cooldown of 6 seconds. So it might be a bit hard to get those 2 stacks and keep, well, not keep them, just get them, because you have a second of like downtime on your skill and the stack's duration to get the second stack. So it can be quite hard. So, you know, because of this inconsistency, it's better to go with a 2-piece Pale Flame and 2-piece Bloodstain set. For a sort of cryo main DPS and even like a elemental support, the Blizzard set is the go-to thing. A 2-piece Blizzard and gives you cryo damage, and then the 4-piece set makes it so if you're hitting an enemy that is affected by cryo or frozen, you gain extra crit rate, and you gain a lot of crit rate. Like, I think if an opponent is frozen, you can actually get like 40% crit rate by that, which is really good. But I think you should really use that if you have problems with crit rate. You know, if your artifacts or other artifacts aren't that good and you are lacking in crit rate, yeah, I think you could use the 4-piece Blizzard set. You can say that, hey, I have around 50 to 60% crit rate, so with the Blizzard set I'm at 100%. You can say that and use it. That is your choice. But I think that maybe you could go for something like a 2-piece Blizzard and 2-piece Gladiator or 2-piece Noblesse set, because then you're buffing your set of skills even more. With the 2-piece Gladiator set, you are buffing your auto attacks, your skill, your ultimate damage. With the 2-piece Noblesse set, you're buffing your burst damage. So a more ultimate focused Kaeya build as an elemental support, most likely, you should go for something like a 2-piece Blizzard and a 2-piece Noblesse set, because also the Blizzard effect doesn't apply to other characters. Okay, the Blizzard set only applies to the character that has the Blizzard set. So yeah, if you're using Kaeya as an elemental support, 2-piece Blizzard and a 2-piece Noblesse set is the better choice. I think that the ult should be dealing a good amount of damage with that. And his his skills should also be dealing a nice amount of damage. And yeah, I mean, that's basically it. Kaeya can fulfill a lot of roles, and to be honest, I think it's a bit sad that people really ditch him. Compared to some other starters like Lisa, the Traveler, and even Amber, he does get a bit more usage in something like the Spiral Abyss, but he does get, like, you know, overshadowed by other cryo 4-stars even. But yeah, as for weapons, you know, let's talk weapons then. There are a lot of options based on what you want to do. If you want to go for the physical damage build, then the Prototype Rancor is what you want. Physical damage bonus, of course. It's freely refinable if you have the Prototype billets. You know, so yeah, physical damage build, Prototype Rancor, I mean, that's the only way to go, really. And for 5 stars, the Aquila of Avonia is your best in slot for a physical damage bonus, for a physical damage build. I mean, if you have another 5-star, you know, the Jade Cutter is pretty good. The Skyward Blade isn't the worst, even for a physical damage build, but I think, I sort of think the Prototype Rancor is a bit better because of that physical damage bonus. Now for a cryo damage dealer now, cryo main DPS or cryo support, well, you have basically every other weapon, really. You know, I have a list of weapons in front of me, so, you know, let's take them one by one. Black Cliff Longsword. If you're lacking in crit damage, then you can grab the Black Cliff Longsword, you know. Have Blizzard Strayer as your source of crit rate, and then have the Black Cliff Longsword as your source of crit damage. The Favonius Sword can be used as a more of support weapon, even more energy recharge, even more ultimates. It's pretty good. Believe it or not, the Iron Sting isn't the worst one. Isn't the worst option you can have. It gives elemental mastery, so if you have some other character to help Kaeya melt, then the elemental mastery will help you deal some extra damage. And Iron Sting's effect is pretty good. Extra damage whenever you deal elemental damage, so I think that's pretty nice. Lion's Roar, not really for Kaeya, because it's for Pyro and Electro characters. Hey, the Prototype Rancor actually isn't that bad, even for a a cryo damage build or support build. It's extra damage. The sacrificial sword I wouldn't use. 6 seconds cooldown on the E. Yes, the energy recharge is nice, but low base attack, and you just don't need the reset. The sacrificial sword is literally only built for Xingqiu, to be honest. What else is there? Oh, the ally flash. Well then, the ally flash isn't actually a bad idea. Extremely high base attack. It's got 45, so it reaches 600 plus base attack. It gives just a tiny amount of elemental mastery, so, you know, it's a nice bonus to your melt. And then it has the effect of increasing your damage until you take damage, where the damage increase is disabled. So if you have a shielder, or perhaps his 4th constellation, maybe not that much. If you have a shielder that can protect Kaeya from taking damage and disabling this effect, then the ally flash isn't the worst idea. There's the black sword. If you're lacking in crit rate and you don't want to use the 4-piece Blizzard Strayer set, or you want to use the 4-piece Blizzard Strayer set and just have 100% crit rate, I guess, you can use the black sword. It's pretty good. The flute, mediocre, I say. There are better options, perhaps, but okay base attack, and the attack percent extra substat is pretty nice. Its effect doesn't buff anything, you know, it doesn't buff any sort of damage, but if you get a few refinements on the flute, you're actually gonna be dealing like crits. You know, you're gonna be dealing 125 attack damage on an AoE after like 5 hits, so I think it's actually pretty nice. The flute, if refined, pretty nice. If you have Festering Desire now, it's pretty nice, I will have to say, as a elemental support Kaeya, or perhaps even a DPS, sub-DPS cryo. Festering Desire isn't bad. Good base attack, energy recharge for more ultimates, and then its effect, which increases your elemental skill damage and crit rate, is very much welcome. I think that Festering Desire is pretty nice on Kaeya. For 5 stars then. The Freedom Sworn, if you're using Kaeya as a cryo damage dealer, then not bad, I will have to say. Not bad. Yeah, like it has, you know, a freaking wall of text as its effect. But yeah, Freedom Sworn, good base attack, Elemental Mastery is useful for a cryo damage dealer, so yeah. I mean, the other weapons like the Jade Cutter and the Skyward Blade also fit and are easier to acquire than the Freedom Sworn because, well, the Freedom Sworn is only on Kazuha's banner right now, so good luck. But yeah, like for a cryo DPS, I would skip on Aquila Favonia really. Jade Cutter or Skyward Blade if you have them. I guess Summit Shaper is also a thing. If you have someone like Zhongli to constantly have a shield, then of course the Summit Shaper can work. But yeah, pretty good range of weapons for Kaeya since he can of course fulfill a lot of roles. So yeah, I mean that's really it for Kaeya. Again, in my opinion, a really good character, can fulfill a lot of roles, and is a good cryo applicator, especially in the current Abyss and most likely a bit of the future Abyss, where we now have the Abyss Heralds and Abyss Lectors. You know, cryo is their worst enemy, and Kaeya has the ability to constantly apply cryo on their shield and kill them quickly. He isn't the best at killing them, but I think he's actually on the top, of course, of characters that can deal with the Abyss enemies' shields. But this is also the part where I wanted to mention the constellation things. To get Kaeya's constellations is just hard. It's almost impossible, I would even say. The only banner that can give you these constellations is the standard banner, and as everybody will tell you, do not waste any sort of Primogem on the standard banner, only waste the free fates you get from the battle pass, the monthly shop, any adventure rank rewards. you know. And yeah, you should really do that. You just cannot hunt constellations for Kaeya and constellations for any of these starting party characters. And if I'm honest, I don't understand why Kaeya at least isn't on character banners. He's the only character that most people would use, and most people would tell you that is the best out of the starting party. And, you know, with his flexibility on roles, I think he should be on the character banners. Maybe even rework his constellations a bit, because he doesn't have the best constellations, but hey. But still, I think that he should be. If you can have freaking Noelle and Barbara, which are also given to you for free, why the heck isn't Kaeya on the character banners? I think yes, he appears on the Star Glitter shop, but I don't know how worth it is to waste 34 of your Star Glitter on a character's constellation that you may or may not use, compared to something like a Blackcliff weapon or extra wishes. You know, that's the problem. Again, if Kaeya was in the character banners, I think a lot of people would be happy. Yes, maybe some, you know, other starter characters, then there will be a bit of a debate on if other starter characters should be in the banners. But, you know, again, the thing is that more people like Kaeya, and more people think that Kaeya is better than the other starter party. So that's why I think that he should be able to be in character banners and allow people to get the freaking constellations. But hey, that is it. You know, last conclusion, pretty good character, good cryo applicator, can fulfill a lot of roles, and if I'm honest, don't sleep on Kaeya. I think that he's a really good character that you could perhaps use. A really good cryo applicator that can easily destroy the Abyss Lecter and Herald Shield. So if you need something to help you clear the Abyss faster, then I think Kaeya is your man. So that will be from me. Thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.